Let me welcome you, my dear students. My name is Saima and I am teaching you the subject 14th to 19th century poetry. This is our first learning session with MA English second semester. In this session, we would like to learn about the 14th to 19th century poetry. And the way we go ahead, the concept is that we would try to find out the 14th century poetry information or history. So my dear students, let's discuss the outline that today we will discuss Introduction to 14th century poetry, historical development of poetry from allegorical to realistic, and Introduction to Geoffrey Chaucer and Introduction to the Canterbury Tale. So my dear students, let's start the introduction first, that what is poetry. Different writers tried to explain or tried to interpret poetry in different ways. We will have a look some of these definitions of poetry for our understanding to see what is poetry and how it is different from prose and how it is different from any ordinary piece of writing. So dear students, Aristotle defines in his book on poetics that he said that the distinction between historian and poet is not the one writing prose and the other verse, because the difference between verse and prose is the simple arrangement of the words, in which we find the sequence of subject, verb and object. But if we talk about the poetry, then poet doesn't follow these sequence. In poetry, the poet can rearrange the words to suit his own needs. Might start a word with preposition or he might start it with the verb. So the simple thing is that they don't follow the particular word arrangement or word order. So dear students, the verse is depending on the meaning, on the theme, and it is largely based on the discretion of the poet. So it is the wish of the poet, or we can say that it depends on poet how he use the words to convey a special effect on his writing. Moreover than itself, it is not the difference that one is writing in prose and other is writing in verse. One describes the thing that has been. So historian, if we talk about the historian writes about something that has been taken place and the other kind of thing that might be. So in poetry, the poets describe the possibility in future, they describe something they want to see in the society. Hence poetry is something more philosophical and of grave importance than history. As Aristotle, here is the point of view that in this way poetry is more serious, more philosophic in nature as compared to prose. Because poetry discusses the things that might happen, there is possibility of that thing that it might occur in this way. But as compared to history, because history states something as it happened in the past, since its statements are of the nature rather of universal, whereas those of history are singular. So there in history there are a particular geography or a particular region, but in the case of poetry, the subject matter is universal. It can be applied to any society or it can be applied to any geographical region. So this was the definition of poetry by Aristotle. So dear students, let's discuss the Samuel Johnson definition of poetry, that poetry is the art of unity, pleasure with truth. So what he wants to say, that if we combine the truth and happiness in that is called the poetry. Then we talk about the William Wordsworth, that William Wordsworth defines about poetry that poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feeling. It takes its origin from emotion recollected in tranquility. So my dear students, according to Wordsworth, poetry is something that comes directly from the heart, that reflects the powerful feeling. You are just telling about the feeling, means you are expressing your feeling. For example, if you visit some place and the experience you gain there and the emotion you feel and the emotion and feelings you feel there, that comes to in your mind, and you write something that is called, and you write that feeling and emotions and that experience in the form of words, that is called poetry. So my dear students, now we are going to begin with 14th century poetry. What kind of situation was prevailing then and what was basically happening at that time? As we know, literature is life and life is literature. So both things are connected, because you cannot read and understand the literature without understanding the society. So basically, let me tell you that 14th century poetry starts with John Gower. John Gower was an English poet and a contemporary of William Langland and Pearl poet. He was a personal friend of Geoffrey Chaucer. So my dear students, it was Gower who prepared the English language for future. He wrote court poetry. He is famous for three major works: Rodilon, the next one is Vox Clementis and Confessio Amantis. These three long poems written in French, Latin and English. We simply can say that these three works are written in French, Latin and English respectively, which are united by common moral and political theme. So my dear students, let's start our discussion on the introduction to 14th century poetry. That it is divided into William Langland and Geoffrey Chaucer. So my dear students, this is also called the age of Chaucer, and it is we can simply say that it is the backbone of English poetry, and this is the beginning of Renaissance period, and we can simply say that the revival of alliterative poetry is found in it. So basically we can say that it is the age in which the revival of alliterative poetry is found. So before it, we find that people are usually use alliterative poetry. So this is we can simply say that if we talk about the Anglo-Saxon period, so they used alliterative poetry, and if we talk about Anglo-Norman periods, they were away from alliterative poetry. So this is the period that we can say that it is the revival of alliterative poetry. So my dear students, if we talk about the historical development of the poetry, so we find in it the harsh worldview. Then we find in it the formal speech. Then we find in it the we can say elevated languages used in it. We find in it the irony, the contrast, pagan, and we can say the Christianity. So basically we find the contrast between pagan and Christianity, and it talks about the fate, it talks about the past, and it also talks about the violence. We can say that we find in it the values of means in which the society plays war, means it's all about the warrior society. So my dear students, the next historical development in poetry is it talks about or it is developed to narrative poems, and we can find in it the courtry romance, means they talked about the country romances, and they talked about the folk tales, and they talked about the Christian moral poem, which is in which we find the Christian moral poems began to surface. So it not only in English, and we can find that this is the age of Chaucer, and we not only find the work in it, the English, not only in English, but also we find in Latin and French. So basically this is the period in which we find, which is divided into three works. The first one, English, Latin and French. So next we can talk about that. It talks about the epic and elegy. So they gave us the epic and elegy, which gave way to romance. So it is the tales of adventure and honorable deeds and lyrics. So my dear students, it talks about in which we find the story of travel and adventure, and it talks about in which we find the saint's life. We also find they discuss the allegorical tales. First great character painter is the we can simply say that is the Chaucer, because Chaucer is called the father of English poetry because he made the English language respectable. Most people during this time spoke different languages like French. Mean the common people use the English language, but if we talk about the people that those used in the, or we talk about the court language, that was Latin, and if we talk about the church language, that was French. So basically this is the period in which we find these type of languages, means lots of languages. It was Chaucer who wrote about the common people language. So my dear students, it was the Chaucer who gave the prestige to English language. It was the Chaucer who basically first great character painter. Even if we read his text now, we can feel that it is in our society. Basically the characters are found in our society too. So dear students, let's talk about that. He is the real portrayal of, he portrayed the real life characters. Chaucer's, we can say that the characters are drawn from keen observation of men and women. So basically the Chaucer wrote about the characters. He wrote that characters after a keen observation, and he bring atmosphere of romantic interest about men and women. Before it, we can feel that we can read that and we people know that the all literature was all about the war and basically the warrior, and basically about the knight, or even if we say that high class, it was totally about the high class. But he if we talk about the Chaucer, he wrote about the normal people, mean common people. High class to normal people, mean high to low class, we find in it. We find in his work the high class to low class characters. So my dear students, let's discuss the Geoffrey Chaucer. That we can simply say that let's introduce the Geoffrey Chaucer. My dear students, as we people know that Chaucer is called father of English poetry because he made the English language respectable. Most people during this time period spoken Middle English. Although educated people wrote in simply they wrote in Latin, and they mostly used French languages. And at that time the literature was written in Latin and French. English was not a language that was taken seriously. By writing poetry in English, Chaucer gave respect to everyday languages. Basically, everyday spoken language he used to write. He used in his writing. So it was if we talk about the simply the common people language, that it was at that time the common people language was English. So my dear students, it was the Chaucer who selected English language, who selected common people language for the writing. So he gave the respect, and he basically Chaucer is the person who select, or he made the English language respectable. So dear students, let's start the introduction. That great English poet of the medieval age is Chaucer, Geoffrey Chaucer. So he is first poet of national importance. So we can say that his first poet he was the first poet of national importance, and we can say that it is the Chaucer who is an author, poet, philosopher and alchemist. And we can say that Chaucer also maintained an active career in the civil service as a bureaucrat, as a courtier and a diplomat. He traveled in Flanders, and we can say that he traveled in Flanders, France, Spain and Italy, where he observed various types of manners and fashions, which highly influenced him for his literary creation. So Chaucer was born in London around 1343. We can say that it is the Chaucer who was basically an English poet because he was born in London. And we mostly people know that precise date and location of his birth remains unknown because nobody know about the location where he actually born. Then we can say it. He is the son of wealthy London vintner. So he was basically a son of a wine merchant, and he was educated in St. Paul Cathedral School and later at Inner Temple where he studied law. In 1357 he became a courtier, diplomat and civil servant. In 1368 to 78 he was sent to France, Genoa and Florence, basically the Florence, where he influenced by the work of authors like Dante, Boccaccio and Froissart. And he was died in 1400 and was the first poet to be buried in Westminster Abbey in Poets' Corner. So basically he was the first poet who was buried there. Then we can say that Geoffrey Chaucer, the writing of or the books or works are Geoffrey Chaucer is divided. Books are divided into 3 time period: the early period, the middle age period, and last period. In early period, he mostly used French language, and the timeline of this early period is up to 1370. So we can say that the name of his works are Translation of Roman de Larus and the Books of the Duchess. So basically it is observed that the Book of Duchess is all about the dream of Chaucer. So basically the Book of the Duchess, also known as the Dream of Chaucer, it is the first major long poem published by Geoffrey Chaucer, and it was written sometime between 1368 and 1372. So we can say that to commemorate the Duchess Blanche of who was the wife of John Gaunt, who was a son of King Edward III. So the next work is, so the next time period is, or the work is divided into middle period. It was up to century 1387, and the major works are the House of Fame, the Parliament of Laws, and Translation of Consolation of Philosophy, and the Trials and Crusade, and the last one is the Legend of Good Women. And the last period, which is after 1387, he wrote the Canterbury Tale. So we can say that it is the last work of Geoffrey Chaucer, which was not completed basically, and it was published after his death. If we talk about the style of Geoffrey Chaucer, so we can say that he has the gift of storytelling and descriptive power. And if we talk about the use, he uses the musical element in his writing. The personal, he gave us the personal touches and charming and humorous style, and in humorous style. So basically he is rarely we can say that. So we can say that his work is rarely philosophized, and we find the softness in narration, and which is he has the perennial interest in humanity and the happy world. As there is pain, and we can say that perplexity, but no agony or rebellion. So basically this is about the work or his style. So let me tell you, students, that according to tradition, Chaucer died in London on October 25th, 1400. He was buried in Westminster Abbey in the part of the church, which afterward came to be called Poets' Corner. A monument was erected to him in 1555. So let's talk about the Canterbury Tale. That is a poem, and it is a long poem and long narrative, in which we find the hypocrisy of church, means he wrote about the hypocrisy of church, and we also find the position of women, means he wrote about the position of women of different societies or different classes. Then we find the representation of social class in it, and we can say that artistic representation of different character we can find in it, and the language is used the satirical, means we can say that he used a satirical language or tone in it, and we find the universal characterization. We can say that it is a picaresque in tradition. Basically, it totally different from the tradition, because he used the artistic style and he used a universal characterization in it. It is a frame narrative which have different narration of characters. So dear students, it should be an immense work of 124 stories. Only 24 were written. All these but 2 were written in verse. The tale covers all the major works of medieval literature. It basically talks about the country romance, folk tale, beast fable, story of travel and adventure, and saint's life, and allegorical tale. The personality of the host affords a clear string of connection from the first to last tale. So my dear students, discuss that many of the characters and stories in this tale are drawn from actual people and events in his life. Chaucer chose to write in English, and which is an important contribution that led to English becoming the language of England. This piece is written in couplet of iambic pentameter. Discuss the meter. That what is meter? Meter creates the rhythm in any poetry. Means if we speak a word or we use stress in different way. One word stress in one word, means we can say that the one word is stressed, the other one is unstressed, and then stressed, unstressed. So the sound creates is like dee-dum, dee-dum, that is called meter. Now we talk about the iambic feet or meter. So basically, when we talk about the 2 syllables, means a word is made up of 2 syllables, like that is called the iamb. But if we define the word in 2 syllables, that means like if you define the word that define, so it has 2 syllables. The first one is D and the other one is fine. So we can say that in iamb, if we talk about the 2 syllables, the second one is the stressed syllable. And if we find the 5 syllables in iamb, means if we talk about the 5 iamb in any poetry and in the line of any poetry, so we can say that it is written in iambic pentameter. So let's define it. In iamb, when 2 syllables are when we use 2 syllables, we find the second syllable is more stressed. More stress is given on the last syllable or second syllable. And if we find the 5 iamb in any line of the poetry, that is called the iambic pentameter. So students, let me tell you that in Canterbury Tales, the pilgrims are travelling from London to Canterbury Cathedral, and they meet at the Tabor in London, and the host Harry Bailey suggests they tell stories to pass the time as they are travelling to Canterbury, and the one who tells the best story will be rewarded with a special meal when they return back to London. So dear students, take a quick review that today we will discuss, in today's lecture we have discussed poetry, introduction to 19th century poetry, historical development of poetry, and background of Geoffrey Chaucer and the Canterbury Tale. This is all about our today's lecture. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.